all 6 aspects of health. That's right, it's not just having a big old bank account. Every week, we share tips to improve your mental, social, spiritual, financial, obviously, intellectual, and physical health. And today, we are focusing on how to improve your physical health with digestion. If you have never seen Millionaires Are Made, this is the show built on the fundamental beliefs that every person you meet knows something you don't, and there's something to be learned from everyone in this big, beautiful world. We are on a mission to teach the world how to grow into the healthiest, happiest millionaires in all 6 aspects of health. So today we have 3 awesome guests to give you 3 awesome tips on how to improve your physical health with digestion. In the spirit of authenticity, we don't talk about our tips with our guests or advice backstage. So when you hear them tell it on air, it'll be the first time we hear it as well. Audience, this is an interactive show. We love comments and we love questions, and we ask them live to our guests. So feel free to post them anywhere, wherever you're watching. This is a great time to do our follower shout outs. Our followers that get shouted out today, we got Jason Brandon on Facebook. Thank you for following. Brittany Grace on Instagram. Kim Yara Blake on TikTok and YouTube. Gary Lynch. Thank you all for following. If you want to be shouted out on our show, just give us a quick follow. Easy peasy. And if you want to be a guest on our show, we all know that you have something to share. Just check us out. We're dropping the link right now. Sign up and you can be a guest on our show and share your advice with the world and help everyone grow quite a bit. We also love topics. We need new ideas. We always want to find new, fresh, hot topics. If there's something in your life that's a little struggling, maybe you're lost spiritually, maybe your bank account's not as full as you need, maybe you're not as fit as you want, maybe your social health, you don't have a good group of friends. Whatever it is, shoot us your topic idea. We will go out and find 3 awesome guests to give 3 awesome tips to help you get through that rut in life. If you like what we do, send stars, share, subscribe, like, please. We love it. Help us out. Let us grow and help touch more people. And if you ever want to hang out one-on-one, I do offer free growth consultations. I would love to talk to you and see what's going on in your life. And check it out. That link's being dropped right now. Merchandise. We have merchandise available now. We just launched our line like 2 or 3 months ago. That link is being dropped now. And before we get started, we will go over how this show came to be today. Our show is brought to you by Craig Sikofsky, who is a human behaviorist and mentor helping entrepreneurs discover their true identity, purpose, and achieve growth in business and life. He's really important because most entrepreneurs focus on the business and not the life balance. Sarah Jones is awesome, super smart, was drowning in debt, stuck in a failing marriage, but ended up going and redoing all of her finances and now has blazed her own path to financial healing and relationship repair. Her and her husband drive around the U.S. in a giant RV with a bunch of toys attached and teach couples, individuals, and small businesses how to build healthy money habits and bring back joy to managing finances. Go check out Sarah Jones. Next up, we have Veronica Herrera, who is a life coach and a host of Thrive, Don't Survive, which empowers others with emotional regulation tools to transform challenges into thriving success. Go say hi to Veronica. And our final sponsor is Kim Groshek, a 2-time international best-selling author and speaker, helping CEOs maximize focus, energy, and health with 30-plus years of industry leadership experience. Go check them out. They let us keep this show going and make it all possible. And with that all being done and said, it is time to bring out our first guest. Our first guest is one of our favorites, Ina. Ina, tell us, who are you?
Hi, Austin. Thank you for having me here. Nice to see you again. I'm Ina. I'm a life coach. I help people who feel stuck in their health, in their love, in their finances. I work a lot with children who have ADHD, autism, behavioral problems, emotional problems. So wherever people are stuck, I'm happy to help. I'm from Ukraine originally, and I just moved to Florida a month ago from New York, New Jersey. So I'm so excited about life, just sharing good energy with you guys.
Nice. You are joyful today. I love it. Ina, I've got a very important question for you. If I wanted to improve my physical health with digestion, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
Actually, I have two, and they cannot choose one because both are super important.
Cheater, cheater, cheater. Okay, you have to
So,
do them twice as fast then.
number one is work on your emotions because your digestive system actually works through your fears. So if you have lots of fears in life, it will affect your digestion a lot. Second one is your spleen. So if you feel that you rush things in life, then you just need to put your hands on the left side, a little bit down from your solar plexus. You put your both hands like that down there and you say to your spleen, it's okay. I am where I need to be right now. Everything's gonna come at the perfect timing for me. There is no rush in life. And you will see how your digestion will improve.
Fascinating. Two simple tips. I love it. Thank you, Ina. Now, tell me where on your life journey you learned these pieces of advice.
So I actually learned that when I was taking a course for finances from Energy Coach, and that was one of the tips that she gave us.
Okay, good. Hire a coach, take all their knowledge, and now you have it. Awesome, Ina. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to our next guest, who is Sameer, and we'll bring you back out in the round robin. We'll see you soon. Next up, we have Sameer. Sameer, who
Hey,
are you
Austin,
this
how's it
time?
going? I'm the same person I've always been. I'm a health coach and a PhD student, researching human health and history. That's what my passion is all about. First principles healing.
First Principles Healing. Great. Well, then I have a question for you, Sameer.
Yeah.
If I wanted to improve my physical health with digestion, what simple piece of advice would you give me?
Ina is so chill. She's kind of, I don't know. I'm going to be a bit of a contrast because I feel like swearing today. So forgive me for that. But it's like, my fucking advice is please don't listen to anyone else's advice and please don't do the fucking high fiber shit. Like it's crazy. It will tear up your digestion. It just ruins things. So, if you don't like eating cardboard, maybe don't eat high fiber foods. That's my piece of gut health advice.
If you don't like eating cardboard, don't eat high
Yeah.
fiber foods. So you're saying don't eat fiber at all.
So
No
if
chia
you're trying to
seeds.
avoid fiber, that's going to be like, that's a whole project and it's not necessarily that easy. It's something that I have done and I do recommend, and we have to do it for some clients. For example, if you have autoimmune, if anyone has any gut issue, what's the first thing they're put on? They're put on what's called a low FODMAP diet. Okay. Low FODMAP is a low fiber diet, and that solves their problem significantly. It improves their problem significantly. Now, when I put my clients with autoimmune bowel disease on a zero fiber carnivore diet, their disease goes away in like a matter of hours or days, right? So fiber is actually, when we look at people who have gut problems, fiber is making the problem worse like 100% of the time. So if you don't have a gut problem, you don't need to go zero fiber. But why the hell are you eating brown rice instead of white rice? Why the hell are you going out of your way to have things like kale, smoothies, and I don't know what all people are having these days? Because you think fiber, which is indigestible carbohydrate, is good for you. It's not. Get it out of your life.
All right. Improve digestion, get rid of fiber. Samir, where did you
I
learn
learned this
that?
the hard way. So the other piece of advice is don't be like me, man. Like because when I had bad digestion my whole life, I didn't even understand that I had bad digestion because I just thought that's what human digestion is. Like I thought all my shit had to be messy. I thought whenever I took a poop it had to be painful. I thought when I needed like a lot of water or a lot of paper towel to clean my ass when I was done. Like I just thought this was normal, right? And when I
Wow.
went low carb and then eventually carnivore and actually had proper bowel movements without any pain, it's over in less than a minute. I used to be one of those guys who was sitting on the toilet, playing with my phone or like playing video games or like reading the newspaper in the old school days. And I'd be in there. You can ask my wife. I was in there for like 20 minutes on an average day, right? But now it's over and done with. 5 minutes is the absolute max. And, there's not much cleanup that's involved because the digestion is proper, because you're not having all this indigestible shit in there, right? So I learned it the hard way. Don't be stupid like me. Be smart.
And you do all carnivore diet, is
No,
that
I'm
correct?
not. I mean, carnivore diet, there are different carnivore diets. What I recommend is a diet that is based on ancestrally appropriate foods, which are 70 to 80% meat and then 20% low carbohydrate vegetables, maybe some fruit, is what we tend to recommend. But it's going to vary from person to person. That's why it's important. If people are interested, they work with a health coach, a certified health coach like myself, or someone else who's familiar with the clinical application of these diets to prevent and reverse disease.
Fascinating. All right, Sameer, thank you so much. No fiber.
100%.
All right, we'll move on to our next guest. We'll bring it back out, Sameer. Thank you so much. Liesl, can you tell us who are you?
Hi, Austin. Thanks. So I am a social worker and equine facilitated wellness practitioner, as well as a health coach in South Africa, and a woman in my 50s feeling fit and fabulous. And I have to agree with Sameer, not adding fiber to my diet.
Fascinating. Well, tell us this then. If I did want to improve my physical health with digestion, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
The best free advice that I give anybody is spend time outside in nature, barefoot on the dirt.
How does that help digestion?
Well, it means that you're actually getting into contact with real bacteria. As humans, we evolved to live and be outdoors, to be in the sunlight, to wake up with the sunrise and go to sleep with the sunset. When we remove ourselves from nature and get into situations where we're always washing our hands after every interaction with trees or animals, we actually remove ourselves from healthy bacteria, and everything from the mouth through to the gut is about bacteria. If we think about the gut, it's where all our mental feel-good hormones start. So the origins of serotonin is in the gut. If you want to heal your mind, heal your gut. And the easiest way to start is literally with dirt, because dirt contains healthy bacteria. And we're talking about clean dirt that hasn't been fertilized or sprayed with pesticides, good old-fashioned, sand at the beach, exposing our skins and our bodies to that which we come from is the first thing we do when we give birth. Vaginally, children are exposed to mum's bacteria, vital for the immune system. And the same with breastfeeding. Breast milk gives a baby their best chance at a healthy digestive system because it contains a whole host of bacteria.
Fascinating. Liesl, that is very, very insightful. Tell me, where on your life journey did you learn this advice?
Austin, I'd have to say probably as a kid, it just was natural for us to climb trees, be outdoors, covered in dirt, covered in mud. My mother didn't make us wash our hands every 5 minutes, so it wasn't something that I grew up with. And in my 40s, when I had the wonderful blessing of giving birth to our daughter, it really was brought home to me just how important for her as a baby, but also a growing human, all of her bacteria and gut intact would make the world of difference, including, for example, avoiding all antibiotics while I was pregnant and even before I planned the pregnancy, because antibiotics can disturb your gut bacteria for up to 2 years.
Oh, man. Yeah. Oh, all right. Wow, Liesl, all right. A lot of information you gave us there. Just dropped some knowledge bombs on us. All right, at this point in our show, we are going to bring the rest of our guests out and do a little round robin. So we'll bring Ina back out and we'll bring Sameer out. And audience, this is a great time for you to ask questions if you have any. And we will start with Ina. Ina, can you quickly refresh what your tip was for us?
The tip was to work on your fears and also to calm down your spleen, not rush in life.
I like it. All right, Sameer, what are your thoughts on her tips?
Sounds good. Um, not really, not really things I've thought about, but they sound great.
Liesl, do you have any thoughts on Ina's tips?
Well, I love that. I think that when we rush around life, we miss out on so much. We miss out on so much joy and appreciation and opportunity to really experience each day. It's a lovely tip. Thank you, Ina.
Yeah, so welcome.
Sameer, you want to quickly refresh what your tips were for us? Or tip?
Yeah, my tip was basically don't believe the hype and get fiber out of your life. But that's not a super easy thing to do. Maybe it's something that's more in the background. In terms of the actions that I know that we're going to move towards, I really like Liesl's action of, get out there, get in the dirt, play with some bacteria, see what you can, get. If you can do it barefoot in the morning, then that's getting other things out of the way too. So, yeah, I like Liesl's tip there.
Get out there, play with some bacteria.
I mean, you remember, guys, and we are bacteria. You sitting there, Austin, in that lovely place in the Virgin Islands. You are 90% of the cells in your body are not human cells; they are bacterial cells, right? So we are a colony for
90%?
that's by some estimates. It's really hard to do this because some of this we can't figure out. But certainly, there's more non-human DNA in you than there is human DNA, right?
That's fascinating.
So we got to take care of the bugs, otherwise they're gonna. And if you don't take care of them, they're not going to be nice to you. You with me? So this is why making sure that you are like if I go to a new place, even if I just go to a different city in South Africa, I don't care about the weather. The first thing I'm going to do is go out barefoot in the dirt and sort of play around a little bit because I want the bacteria in my body to know that these are the bacteria around here, and they should kiss and play nice. Otherwise, they shouldn't fight with each other. Otherwise, I might get sick. You with me? Some of this sounds like hokum and like nonsense, but it's really like it's all backed in pretty serious science.
So if you go to like somewhere people get sick a lot, right? India or Vietnam or Bangkok. I mean, you think that a lot of that could be prevented or at least minimized if you ran out and checked out their bacteria first?
I mean, you got to be careful. Like, if I go to India, I have family in India, and if I go there and drink the tap water, I'm just asking for trouble, right?
Okay, right.
So you got to do it in a very sensible way, and you got to do it with the right sense. You got to know what's going on. But to the extent and the other problem is if you go and visit my wife's family in India, like, where's the nature? Like, they're living in these huge concrete blocks, right? So, but if you can find some nature to get into, and we've done this, there's a bird sanctuary not too far from where my in-laws live in Delhi. You go out in the bird sanctuary and you spend some time there, you're less likely to get sick after that. We have seen that to be the case.
Man, that's fascinating. And when I travel, that's going to have to be cool. All right. Lisa, what are your thoughts on Sameer's tip? Even though you already kind of went over it, let's hear some more.
I love Sameer's tip. I cut fiber out of my diet about 2 years ago, and at the time I reversed my perimenopause symptoms and got my energy back, started sleeping like a baby again. Just took my fitness to a whole nother level. So I would definitely go with take fiber out of your diet. So I'm not objective when it comes to Sameer's tip. And I think that his description of, when we eat crap, that's what we push out of ourselves, our skins, our minds, our emotions. And when we take it out, it just puts us in a better space.
Fascinating. Ina, what are your thoughts on Sameer's tip?
I love it. I've never heard of it before. I already put a note for myself to explore it more. I think it's fascinating and super interesting, and I really appreciate that.
I'm in the same boat. Interesting. I don't have a problem much, but now I feel like I'm gonna have one anyway, so I gotta switch out soon. Sameer, what is the worst source of fiber?
This is a hard one, man. I mean, I mentioned brown rice. Brown rice is very high in arsenic, man.
Okay.
So it's like, I don't know why people are eating this stuff. Like, you're not really. I mean, I don't know why people are eating rice in general, but eating the brown rice, you're getting the most toxic parts of the plant. Whereas if you just ate, like, if you look at traditional diets in China and India that include rice, it's always white rice. Like, it's always 100% of the time, never brown rice, right? So that's an obvious one. And then I think any wheat products. I mean, that's another one that I think, why is anyone having any wheat products? But again, brown bread and stuff, like, it's, yeah, why are you doing that to yourselves?
What about quinoa?
Quinoa is yeah, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's not a superfood. it's if you look
Okay, but it's better than brown rice.
it's like saying that, arsenic is a little better than lead. I mean, maybe in the right dosage in some places. Listen, with all these foods, you mentioned quinoa. I've spent time in Peru, where quinoa is from. Quinoa is the diet of people who are starving, of people who were literally had no choice. They weren't given food by the kings and by the lords. They had to find something to feed themselves. And quinoa is what they came up with as a high protein plant, together with whatever llama meat and alpaca meat they could sort of scavenge or buy off the rich people or whatever it was, right? So when we're talking about these carbohydrates, this is really my academic work, is that all of these food cultures come from a culture of poverty, come from a culture of enslavement. And once you begin to understand that, you say, okay, it's not healthy, but it's healthier than starving to death, which is absolutely true, right?
Very true. Very true. Oh man, why do you have to do this, Sameer? Why do you have to do this?
So I'm not telling anyone what to do, man. If you want me to tell you what to do, you got to pay me money. You got to be my client. Then only I tell you what to do. but otherwise, I'm not telling you what to do.
Stop eating.
I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you the facts. These things are born. There's a great interview on my podcast with an Indian food historian who talks about famine cuisine, right? We think about Indian food as like this vegetarian cuisine. That really only happened after the British came to power in the 19th century. And that was the same time when famines killed at least 1 million, maybe 10 million Indians over the course of about 20 years, right? So in the culture, in a context of enforced starvation from a British colonial system, that's when we have the invention of Indian vegetarian cuisine. It doesn't really exist before that. Make sense? So,
and before that, it was mostly meat.
Mostly meat is an exaggeration, but for example, if you go to the temple on Tuesdays, even today in some parts of India, every Tuesday people go to the temple, and what do you receive? The highest form of prasad, or the holy food that you get, is goat's meat. Even today in many parts of India, right? And up until 1857, that was the case all over India. Then in 1857, the British implement something called the license Raj. So you need a license. You need to pay 100 pounds. So where's someone who's living in a village in India going to get 100 British pounds to buy a license that then allows them to fish in the river or to hunt in their woods? So because it became so expensive, then they said, we're not doing it, and we're offering vegetarian at the church or at the temple, rather than the holy food, which is meat. I mean, it's written in the holy text that God wants meat, right? That's what it says. So anyway, this is a tangent. I'm not sure how relevant it is to the discussion, but when you're talking about these things, you got to understand the historical context.
It's always fascinating with everything, almost the historical context. Like, I mean, not even taking food or meat or any of the specifics. Doing this show, I find this out so often. Things that things that are taken for granted today, even like 30, 40 years ago, everyone's like, no, that is not how it was then. And it's fascinating that you just shared that with us. I never knew about that Indian history. I mean, that's kind of fascinating that they charge that much, and that's where vegetarianism, almost was bred from.
Yes, definitely fascinating. I also love incorporating ancestral energy work in health, in like solution to health problems, because it's really a lot of history of the family, and we hold it in our DNA, and then it affects not only our health, but mostly health of children. And it can be like the biggest thing to help children to be more healthy is to work with parents on ancestral energy. This is also a very fascinating piece of that.
Tell us more about that, Ina. So you're talking about like your Reiki side, correct? Working on energy in
Reiki can
families.
be
Tell us how that
Reiki can be
works.
a part of that. I call it epigenetic session, and that's closer to what's in German psychological schools. They call it family constellation therapy. It's literally has to do with
Okay.
your family lineage. So you talk their names of parents, great parents, maybe great grandparents, and then you kind of it can be done like originally in family constellation therapy. They do it in a group, in person, in a group of people, and then one person becomes your mom, one person becomes whatever. You can solve different problems with that. I've done different on this. So sometimes it would be like business, sometimes it's money, sometimes it's health. So depending on what you're addressing there, you name people in the group like, okay, you will be my money, you will be my new project, you will be my old project, stuff like that. Or if it's in health, then you name it like, okay, you're my grandma. So when it's done in the group, each person kind of becomes your relative, and then it affects in a great way people, all of the people in the group and everyone who is watching, and you personally if it's like your session. The way I do it one-on-one on Zoom, so we don't have this bunch of people becoming other people for an hour, because I saw when people get a little bit more stuck there, and then it's more challenging to get back. You tap yourself like, okay, I'm Ina, I'm back to my physical body, now I'm Ina again. But how much of percentage are you in really now? So to avoid that, and it just feels much lighter and better for me, I do it on Zoom, and we address, we work on literally on energy of these people, like relatives from the past. And it's just fascinating how sometimes just one session, like I had clients, children with hives and with eczema, I would do one session like that, next day it's gone. I did have results like that. So it's not like guaranteed that it will help in just one session, but I had, and it was very interesting. But it's a lot of energy work there.
Wow. This is an episode of enlightenment. Lisa, what do you got? Tell us something new and crazy.
Well, I was just thinking that Ina reminded me of a session that I was in with the horses, in a family constellation session, and the person invited each member of the herd of horses to represent somebody in their family, and then the horses moved themselves into right standing. And I found the process absolutely incredible, and it just helped remind me again that we and everything in our world is energy. Everything is connected. And so one of the pieces for me that this conversation this evening has brought back again into my awareness is that my digestion depends on your digestion. And if you're able to process things well, I can process things well, because each of us is connected to one another through this wonderful system of bacteria. And the animals and nature doesn't ever let its mind get in the way. And it's when we listen to our gut. We talk about, I had a gut feeling. The more we listen to our gut, the more accurate our gut becomes. And as Sameer so rightly said, stop taking other people's advice. Just listen. When we really listen to our gut and our heart, then we bring our mind back into a place of knowingness.
Okay, hold right there, Lisa. So we've done shows before, and I like what you just said. Um, so we've had guests before that talk about how you have your cravings, right? Just like you were saying, listen to your heart, listen to your gut. People have cravings for like McDonald's, and so how to get rid of that? They were saying one of our, I don't remember this. Who knows? Multiple times been said, but essentially, once you improve your gut health and improve your diet, et cetera, and maybe it's 100% fiber, and you're like, screw Sameer, and maybe it's no fiber because you love Sameer. But whatever you deem healthy is you'll start craving it. So once you start eating healthier, you stop craving McDonald's. Once you start eating more fruits, veggies, or protein or whatever it is, you stop craving those other things. And so that to me aligns. And I mean, there's times in my life when I eat unhealthy. I don't know the last time I had McDonald's, but I'm sure I've had it in the last 5 years. Um, but yeah, it's fascinating when you eat healthy, you crave healthy, and when you eat like shit, you crave more shit. So that kind of aligns with what you're saying, right, Liesl?
And it's absolutely, and it's about which, the age old story of which wolf do you feed, which bacteria do you feed. When you feed the bacteria that feeds off sugar and carbohydrates, then that's the bacteria that grows. When you feed the bacteria that's about good serotonin production, good immune system support, then that's the bacteria that grows. And whichever one has a bigger voice is the one you're going to then want to feed. The other part of it is that as humans, we were designed to go hungry for part of the day. We weren't designed to eat and snack. Snacking was invented in the 60s. It's not normal for us to eat all day. I mean, if you just think about 100 years ago, where would people have had time with all the physical labor to eat something every 5 minutes? You wouldn't have fed children every 5 minutes. They wouldn't be snacking on one thing after the other. You'd eat one high protein meal, possibly in the morning as the sun came up, so that you had energy for the day. And then possibly later in the day, you'd have another high protein meal, because that's the one that keeps you full and energized for the longest. So eat the patty.
Awesome. That's a great point.
Eat the McDonald's patty, because it has to be 100% beef. Otherwise, they can be sued, I believe.
They did change that, right? 100% beef. All right, guys, we are at the point in our show where we need to come up with our daily challenge. This needs to be a task or series of tasks that takes less than 5 minutes per day, costs $0, and is available to anyone in the world that helps us improve our physical health with digestion. What ideas do you guys have?
So I think the one that I think all the ideas are good. I mean, I don't think there's any bad ideas, but the one that's probably underlying a lot of them is probably Liesl's suggestion to get out, and the one that people can do pretty easily. Get out barefoot in the grass for like 5 minutes every day. That may be a good start.
I think I hear that one a lot in different areas: spiritual health, mental health. I mean, just walking outside barefoot is super helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Every-
Sun on your skin. If you don't have dirt, look up at the sky.
Love that.
Yeah, so that sounds like a good one. I think everything else is good for people to keep in mind. But if we're looking for a discrete task to give people for the next week, that's a pretty easy one and a good one.
I would add journaling then, because your digestion a lot has to do with your emotions. So the more you are calm, peaceful, and restful and relaxed and have good energy in your body, the better you will feel, the better your digestion will be. So like easy physical exercise, maybe some qigong, which is like super easy to do. You just move your hands like that, and it really increases and helps with your energy. And journaling about your emotions, or finding some professional help to work through them, would really help a lot.
Yeah, no, I love it. So 5 minutes out barefoot, doing some yoga or qigong, something like that, something light and easy that anyone can do.
Yeah, I like that too.
5 minutes.
So when you're outside barefoot,
breathing, 5 minutes of
Or even
breathing
breath
before
work, yeah.
you go to sleep or before you eat, helps with digestion.
Yeah, any or all of that, as much as you can fit in the meme, in the little template, Austin.
So I think we're gonna go out barefoot into nature. I got somewhere I can do that at. And then, I mean, for most people, it's just gonna be walking outside. Someone's got a little patch of grass somewhere, and focus on your breath, focus on how your gut feels, and think about how much fiber you had the day before and try to align with how you feel right now. Maybe you had a lot of fiber and you feel good, and Sameer is 100% wrong about your body. But maybe you had 100 grams of fiber and you feel terrible.
It's
And
it's an
Sameer's
amazing
right.
thing because I've had clients who are like literally like prostate cancer patients who have been told by their doctor to increase fiber, and then they feel like crap, and then they increase it even more, and then they feel even more like crap.
Mhm.
So it's like, guys, like just try taking it out, see what happens. just give it a shot.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, thank you guys so much. We're gonna wrap this up. If you guys enjoyed or learned anything, go follow them on socials. They were all dropped on their links when they appeared, or just ask us or comment, and we're really easy to reach. And if you want to learn about fiber or happiness or Reiki or anything like that, you can check out any of them. Guests, thank you so much, Ina, Liesl, and Sameer. You guys were awesome. What an awesome episode. I can't wait to share this with a bunch of people. And thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys had a great time. Our daily challenge is to go walk into some dirt and or grass barefoot and get some of that healthy bacteria in there. Look at the sky and enjoy some vitamin D. And then smile, focus on your breath. You know, a little bit of heavy breathing. Feel your gut. How does it feel right now? Do you feel heavy? Do you feel bloated? Do you feel ready to go? And then see if you can correlate that with how much fiber you had the day before. Did you have a bunch of fiber? Were you eating white rice or brown rice or quinoa or breads or whatever it was? You know, align that with how you feel. If you're feeling amazing, maybe you had no fiber, then maybe you need to start thinking about that in your diet.